Alt-right YouTubers? Hmm. Hello and welcome people to another video by Middle Eastern Atheist, and let's see what do we have for today. Well, YouTube is the cesspool of all kind of drama. I mean, you cannot go to any videos that for whatever the reason are popular and have lots of views, even sometimes videos that do not have lots of views, and you will end up getting, or at least witnessing, some kind of drama, getting into some kind of drama or witnessing some kind of drama, especially if that video turns out to be somewhat controversial, right? So one of the most famous YouTubers in the area of atheism and religion and those stuff recently made a video that became somewhat controversial, and that person is Cult of Dusty. One of the people that actually got me into considering making videos on these subjects and matters. On YouTube, and one of the reasons is that because this dude is just amazing. When you watch his videos, he in my complete lack of knowledge about the American accents, the English American accents, and which accent is, to me it sounds like some guy from like the south parts of USA, being an actual atheist that talks about science and atheism and those stuff. So this is some kind of a rare thing to see on YouTube, and so he was always really interesting to me because he was a representation for a group of people that you don't see them too often, because South is synonymous with Christian fanatics in USA, basically. At least that's what we get outside of USA. So, in my complete lack of knowledge on those parts, so to me he sounds like those a person from those parts, and I always liked his videos. He makes really nice points, and he makes some really good videos. So I have always been an avid fan, and I have been following him on my personal YouTube channels, and yeah, so I have always been a big fan. So he recently made a video and talked about how a big portion of YouTube has become people talking about social justice warriors, or as it's called on internet, this SJWs, and how it is basically a pointless, fruitless movement, and how the fight against these people has been taken over by alt-right people. Alt-right people are people that before this considered themselves maybe liberals, and they normally had liberal values or still have liberal values, but because of the way the liberal movement has changed, they have moved more and more towards conservatives and the right wing, and maybe in many points they are actually not at all in the same boat as the conservatives and the Republicans and Tea Party people, but just because of the fact that they are against those really hardcore extreme left, regressive people. I actually don't even call them left because, in my opinion, they're not even left wing. But because they're against those kind of people, they have become more sympathetic with the right wing, and that's basically what an alt-right is. Alt-right is some kind of weird mixture in between, and I basically understand what he's saying, and what he's saying is basically right, because in its entirety, this whole situation that we have had for a few years, and its biggest explosion was with people like Anita Sarkeesian making a big move. One of the biggest explosions against the SJW movement was the whole Gamergate situation. And many people call Gamergate a right-wing movement, but in fact, Gamergate was filled with people from all sides of the political world, whatever you want to call it. Because I, as a person that was for Gamergate, I mean, a supporter of Gamergate, I am definitely not a conservative. I'm definitely not a right-wing person. I'm very much in between to left, and that's because that's what I believe in. I do not believe that one party or a two-party system country can be successful, and I can see that in USA they have a two-party system. It's a messed up system, and it never works correctly. So I never believe that just one side having a lot of power can be good. And you see that, as I said, in USA, when the right wing, the Republicans have power in the if I'm not wrong, in the Senate, and they have lots of power there, then they block a lot of movement from the president and the Democratic Party. So it just doesn't work well. And I would much more be in favor of what we have here in many of the countries in Europe, which is several different parties working together to build the country and go further. And that's really a good thing, because they can work together. Even the guys that are at the most extreme of each other, if they have to, they will be able to work with each other, and that's always better for the country. And it has worked really well in these past decades. So when the whole explosion happened and the JW movement became a movement that more and more people realized that has been basically hijacked, because for one, I would not say that I am not a person that is not in favor of social justice, because social justice, what is social justice? Social justice is basically people having the power to stand up against the unfairness of the world, whatever that happens that is unfair, and you can stand against it, like racism or sexism or those kind of stuff. But what happens right now is that the whole social justice movement became a bastardized movement in itself, and really extreme people with some of world's worst views in the world, worst possible ways of looking at stuff, became big, popular, and for whatever reason, the guys that were the people that consider themselves part of this movement started to move away from that. And now many people do not consider themselves feminists anymore. Many people do not see themselves as a person that is an advocate for social justice, because of the fact that these people took over, and they took over in a really, really bad manner. And that's true. When the explosion happened, and people like Anita Sarkeesian and many other people that talked like her, thought like her, and accused people of some of the most heinous stuff, like they became really vocal and started to gather some really creepy people around themselves. YouTube and many of these social medias became a place for people that were against these guys to be able to actually talk out. And we had something like Gamergate, which was really actually a big deal, because people would be like, "Nah, it's nothing. It's just a joke. It wasn't a big thing." But in fact, to demand clarity, to demand a fair system, to demand ethics, is not something that should be seen as a no issue or a joke or something that is not important. Sure, many people might say that it's a first world problem, my first world problems, but in fact, it is actually something that is very much not a first world problem, because it's a problem that it exists in countries that actually are in real troubles. And one of the reasons that they have these problems is that they don't have free media. The media is completely controlled, and it's skewed, and it's unfair, and it's corrupt and stuff like that. And I can name you several of these countries. Amongst them is Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan. These countries that have a lot of problems. Turkey, Lebanon, Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, Syria. These countries all do not have a free press. Their press is corrupted. It's the puppet and of the governments and the people with power, and that's basically the problem that we had. Sure, if we were talking about CNN and Fox and MSNBC and those kind of stuff, we wouldn't really be bothering us that much, because we already know that those are controlled by the elite, and that's why we have moved from them. Each person from each side of the spectrum is turning to a new alternative news source. For me, it's places like Russia Today, Democracy Now, Young Turks. For some really conservative people, it's places like I actually don't know, because I don't follow conservative news, so I don't know. But we have went to the third party and independent news sources, so that's what we did. But when it came to gaming and those kind of stuff, we had our own sources. We had our own world, that we believed that we were accepted there, that we were their consumers. We were the people that gave them the money. We were the ones that made them happen. And for them to turn around and stab us in the back like that was a big deal. And it wasn't something that was a no issue, So when the whole explosion happened, and these guys became bigger and bigger and bigger, and the movements became louder and louder and louder, people started to change their tune. And it wasn't more evident than me and myself, watching people like Mr. Repzion, watching people like Amazing Atheist, guys that I really, really like their contents a lot in many parts. But after a while, I realized that I have basically stopped watching the videos a lot, because of the fact that something happened. What happened was that because of this movement, many of these people started to basically put a lot of portion of their time and their content on stuff that was just social justice warriors and the extreme feminists and the extreme left, that basically were people that were really weird, in my opinion. And after a while, I just realized that I just cannot watch these videos anymore. And yesterday I was watching a video, and it was from Mr. Epstein, if I'm not wrong, and it was yet again another video about a bunch of social justice warriors and something like that. And I basically stopped at the middle of the video, because for the people that are against this kind of stuff, and the people that are, because the people that are into this stuff, like the social justice warriors and the people that are really believing those movements, no matter how many videos you make, they will keep on believing in that, and they will keep on doing their stuff. So all the other people that are not with them basically already know that those people are not really for us. Those people are not um, basically sane people in many of the cases. So basically, the videos that are being made are just fruitless because the people that watch them are the people that are already that they have already made up their minds. They already know that these people are crazy. They already know that these people, whatever that they are saying, is wrong. So whatever amount of time that you put into these videos is basically pointless. And Call of Dusty basically said it, that you guys have put all your time on social justice warriors, people that are gonna be there. No matter what you do, they are gonna be there. And you have left out stuff that are far worse, far worse. And that is actually stuff like Islamic terror and situation of women in those in countries like Iran and Iraq and Afghanistan and stuff like that. And you have put all your resources and all your time on stuff that just make that they have no point whatsoever. Because no matter how many videos we make on Canada passing a bill that will make it a hate crime to against trans people if you I don't know if you like don't call them they and them. No matter how many videos we make on it, it's not gonna change a thing. Never gonna change a thing, because it's gonna happen. It's what the trend is right now. The trend is to be politically correct, and no matter how many videos you make on it, it's pointless. One of the YouTubers that I respect a lot is Thunderfoot, and you know why? Because Thunderfoot is one of the guys that is very much against social justice warriors. He makes a bunch of videos about them. He has made a bunch of videos about them. He made a lot of videos about Anita Sarkeesian. But this guy has put a lot of resources on actually really important stuff. For example, him showing the scams that go around in Indiegogo and Kickstart and those kind of stuff, those technological stuff that you see and you're like, oh my god, the technology has come so far, and then you realize that it's just a pile of bullshit. So he's one of those guys that has done it all, and he does really good videos. His videos actually matter. They are changing something. Because of his videos, he forced, for example, Berkeley's university to retract their way of supporting one of their projects, the water seer. Because of his video, it changed, and they had to put a disclaimer that it's probably not gonna happen, So this guy is actually doing something. While if I'm sitting here and I keep on talking about the same stuff. I mean, for God's sake, look at these videos. They are all of these social justice warriors that are just crazy people. That we all know they are crazy people. And it's not gonna get anywhere. Nowhere. I'm sorry that I bring this up again, but as I said, I'm a big fan of Mr. Repzion, but when I watch his videos nowadays, it's basically the same thing over and over and over again. Another social justice warrior making a video about the social justice warrior on YouTube, on the internet, something, and he talks about how stupid it is. Yeah, it's stupid, and how this social justice warrior is a idiot, a cunt, or whatever the hell he wants to call him. That's his choice, and yeah, okay, and after the next video, and then after the next video, and then after the next video, it's basically the same thing over and over and over again. And that's what Call of Dust is saying, and I personally agree with him. I'm not gonna unsubscribe from people like Mr. Epsilon or Amazing Atheist. I still think that these guys are some of the best content makers. and I'm not gonna unsubscribe from Shuan Head or Armored Skeptic. I'm subscribed to all of these guys on my personal channel, but the fact that the YouTube has become basically this for me right now, that I'm basically just seeing these videos over and over again from guys and people that could make a lot of different videos, is something that I would say it's kind of just to some point pointless, some point a waste of potential, some point waste of resources, and it's just sad. I'm just hoping that this whole thing dies out in a year, and we can go back to have a lot of more fruitful videos with contents that and the contents, the contents that really we can help change something in it, because it doesn't matter how many times Sargraf Akka makes a video about the social justice warriors in Europe or America. Doesn't matter any of that. It's not gonna change anything. Nothing. Basically nothing. And so that's basically what Cultus is saying, and I think that he's not completely wrong for saying it. Maybe he was a bit too harsh. Maybe he was a bit too hard on the way that he said it, but the fact is that these videos make no sense. They have no real purpose except being a pat on the back of the guys that fight the social justice warriors fight. Yeah, that's basically it. It doesn't really get anywhere. Does not achieve anything. As I said, the only guy that I have really seen that achieved anything when that is also somebody that does actually retort social justice warriors is Thunderfoot, because of the fact that he's a scientist that does his science stuff on his channel, and he talks about why something works and how something works, and I have learned so much from his channel. It's just crazy. And when I think about it, that how I came upon his channel is kind of amazing. I came upon his channel through the drama of the social justice warriors, and when I think about it, it's just amazing. Somebody had hashtagged him or something like that, and they were talking about him. I was like, who is this guy? Let me check it out. And wow, this guy is a really smart person that knows his stuff. So that's basically how I see it, and I think that many people would agree with me, because of the fact that, yeah, sure, these people are awful. These people are horrible. I mean, some of these people are really something special. When you say special snowflake, they're really special, something special. But it's not getting us anywhere. Anywhere. And I have to say, some of the people that have become the voices of the voiceless, on YouTube, and I'm not talking about any of the guys that I said their names, but some of them are just as bad, if not worse. I mean, horrible people with some of the most questionable views on humans, on women, on homosexuals, on trans people, on foreigners, immigrants, all of those stuff. Some of the worst people. As I said, not Mr. Reption. I'm not talking about Mr. Reption. I'm not talking about Sargon, not even Shuanhead or Armored Skeptic. None of these people. But there are some people that I have seen their videos that are just wow. And I understand, as I said, I understand where Cult of Dusty comes from, because he sees that and he's like, holy shit. a just equally as bad side is growing up. And as I said, he was really maybe harsh and hard and went really far maybe, but I can understand what he's afraid of. That maybe this side of the fight is growing to become just as extreme and as dogmatic as the opposite side. So yeah, that's how I see it right now. Yeah, YouTube, YouTube. But this was the Middle Eastern Atheist, and I hope that you people have had a great weekend, and you will have a good week ahead of you. And I'll be back. See ya.